Being assertive and having the courage to stand up for yourself won't always get you the outcome you want, but that is not always the most important thing. Sometimes you simply need to be heard. You may need your voice and message on the record because you need to cover your ass. In the midst of the global financial crisis, around 2008, I was working on a public project that went over budget. The price of materials doubled overnight, there was union trouble and costs blew out. I was the communications manager. It was public money funding the project, and there was a risk that news of the overrun would break in local media. I was the youngest person in the executive meeting by a long shot, and one of only 2 women. One of the more senior and dominant men at the table argued the best approach was to say nothing about the budget blowout publicly and quietly work to bring cost overruns back in as much as possible. I thought it was a terrible idea. As a former journalist, I knew if the story leaked, which it almost certainly would, the damage to the organisation would be enormous. We would be caught on the back foot, look evasive and dishonest, and have no control over the angles of stories pursued. We'd be at the mercy of the journalists, responding to their agenda. It would be a disaster. So, I took a deep breath and said so. Although we would take a hit, I argued, we had to put the news out proactively, openly and honestly. There were legitimate reasons for the budget overrun, and we would have a chance to explain them if we controlled the messages. We could only do that if we released the story. Yes, it would result in negative publicity, but we had a chance of minimising the damage this way. Thankfully, after much discussion, the management team agreed with me. However, if they had not, my courage to speak up would have covered my butt. If I had said nothing out of fear and the story had blown up in the media, guess who would have taken the fall? Me, the communications manager. I was in the room for that meeting. I was a former journalist. Why hadn't I said anything? That's how the dialogue would have played out. My complicity in a poor decision would have led to my demise. So speak up. Even if people choose to ignore you or to take a different approach, get your opinion on the record. Be heard and then document what you said in writing somewhere. In short, cover your ass.